Step into the light where the wild ones roam, where the heart speaks loud, calling this place home. We break the rules, we paint the sky, ridiculously you, we were born to fly. Ooh, it's ridiculously you.
Hey everyone, it is Julie May with the Ridiculously You podcast. Today's guest is living proof that you don't have to choose between science and soul and success or self-expression. You can have everything. I love that she has a really cool science background. She's also kind of a woman of faith, and she went out and did her own thing. So she is a PhD-trained polymer chemist, which is freaking amazing, who once led at the highest levels of some of the biggie companies like Procter Gamble and stuff, until she had an epiphany. She wasn't showing up as her true self. How many of us can relate to that, who have gone from jobs to entrepreneurship? I think you guys can relate. So she did what a lot of people only dream of. She pivoted radically, and today Dr. Andrea Bowens-Jones is a powerhouse speaker, author, personal growth coach, and CEO of IDG Vision Coaching and Training, which helps bring leaders to their full selves in every space. I also love that she is a super colorful girly. Look at all the colors she's wearing today. She's going to wear her bright colors.
Yes.
I'm always showing up in my bright colors. She got some bright colored office. I'm obviously all
Yes.
bright colors, all of the things. So with that, welcome the vibrant and wise and radiant Dr. Andrea to the show.
Yes,
Woo!
thank you. Pleasure to be here, Julie. I'm so excited about our conversation today.
I am super excited too, because I love somebody with a science background. I think, once you
Mm.
get into things like personal growth and
Yes.
helping people become their best self, having a bit of a science background, I think is super massive helpful.
I hope
Understanding
so.
how things work at a molecular level, I think is
Yes.
actually massively helpful. And,
It's all
it may
chemistry.
it is. It definitely is all
Yes.
chemistry. And so it's it
Yes.
may not sound like the most natural progression to go from.
It's not.
It is not. So tell me about that. You're
Yeah.
doing the gig. You got your PhD. You're, freaking smart in the sciencey realm.
Yeah.
Were you working at Procter and Gamble at the time?
Yeah, actually I was. And I will say that I've always loved science. I still am a little geek at heart. And so I have an opportunity to kind of still mentor and coach young scientists. But this whole progression of getting to the part where I was actually coaching people is something I think I've always done. And when I look back, I was that friend in the friend group that everybody would confide in, the holder of secrets, the one that would give the wise advice, because I was probably like a little old lady when I was young, because I had that hanging out with grandma. You get all this wisdom and you got to share it with somebody. Why not your girlfriends, right? And so when I was in corporate, even with my team, I would do one-on-one coaching. I would call my little huddle room next to my desk, the crying room. I would literally take a box of puffs in there and just shove it across the table and allow people the space to kind of process what they were going through, whether it was a tough day, tough assignment, tough meeting, tough project, or any of those things, to all the way they're having personal problems. So I think that part has always been a part of me. But I think the point that you get to, that many women, and probably men too, but I coach a lot of women, get to this crossroad where you know that where you are is good. I love it. I love what I'm doing, but I know there's something pulling me somewhere else. And I had gotten to that crossroad at that point, and I just took that leap and said, I'm going to lean into the thing that I feel like I'm being drawn to, and that is to do more, to have a bigger impact outside of the work that I was doing. So that's kind of my story, how I ended up kind of going from this. And it was a lot of prayer, a lot of that part to get that level of clarity that was there. But when I look back on it, that seed in me to want to connect with people, lead them through transformation, it's always been a part of me.
Mm. So how did you even know know that that was a gig. Like, when I
Yeah.
grew up and I went to like high school and stuff, they did not go,
Do
here's
you want to be
your,
a coach?
it's exactly like it was not on the offering table. It was
No, it was not.
that was not,
Yes.
it might be now. It is a lot more common now, but when I was in high school and stuff, or like even as I was getting career path going, like I started in teaching and education and stuff like that, and that's how I expressed I want to help people. I want them to grow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was like a thing until later, and somebody like invited me to like an event or something, and I was like, wait, there's a whole world here I didn't even know
Yeah,
existed.
people
So
get paid to talk to folks. I think for me it was I did not know, let's be clear, I did not know at the point where I knew that I had this draw to do more, where the things that once satisfied me on Monday it didn't satisfy me on Friday, that kind of thing, where I got
yeah.
more enjoyable moments in my personal life where I was doing a lot of volunteer work. But right when I was about to make, I think I had made the decision, and I was in that place where people are going to ask me, Andrea, what are you going to go do next? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know that it's not here. I didn't want to say that. I checked my email one day and I was following John Maxwell for years. Read many of
Oh
his
yeah.
books, used many of his books with my team to develop them professionally. And they had this great ad about you want to become a coach. And literally, and I used to tell this story a lot when I spoke in the very beginning. The amount that it costs to complete the certification program was the exact amount of money that I was going to get from my service package to pay for retraining. And I thought
Oh
at the time, I
wow.
have a PhD. I don't know. I don't want to go retrain. I don't want to go get another degree. And you can't do it with a little under, at that time, it was about $5,000. I said,
Yeah.
but oh my gosh, I love reading his books. I can go be a coach. And that's actually how the coaching certification came apart because it was not part of the plan. You're exactly right. It was not on a list of let's go do this when we grow up. It was a
No.
natural evolution of really when you get to the point where you're following your gifts and your passions and they lead you to a place, doors open that correspond to that gifting and that passion that you have. You may not be able to put a name on it, but it will lead you down a path where you're supposed to be. And I think that's the part of how I ended up becoming certified. And that just led to, okay, let's start a business with it. And it just went on, went on, went on. Yes, that's the story.
Absolutely. Like I'm a big believer in that when you take those couple of leaps of faith, and sometimes it's just like a walk into the dark a little bit. That's kind of how I see it. It's like that sometimes when you're doing the new thing, it's like walking into the tunnel of faith just a little bit, a couple of
Yes,
steps, and then the next part will appear, and then the next part will appear. But it
yes,
like doesn't do it unless you're kind of being brave enough to like go walk the step. And so like your big brave thing was saying, okay, corporate job, I'm not going to do this anymore. Was like, tell me how you made that decision, because a lot of people get to
yeah,
this level of success, and I call them like the golden handcuffs. It's you're making
yes,
good money, you have a PhD, you have like some
yeah.
seniority in the company. How hard was that to just go look at it and go, okay, even though they're offering me all of these things, I'm going to make a different choice? And you didn't even know
Yes.
what the different choice was at that time. That feels super brave to me.
Oh, it and it sounds super crazy when I hear you say it back. Oh my gosh, what was I going through? Was I having a midlife crisis? And that's actually what a lot of people thought. Andrea, are you okay? Do you like need to go get on a couch somewhere? But leading up to that decision is it helped that that the corporation was going through some change. So my job was kind of one of those things where it was going to be different. And whenever that kind of thing happens where change is coming, you start to reevaluate. And I went into this space. I remember when I got the news that particular day, and I was sitting in the conference room, and my one level and two level managers are on the other side of the table, and they give me this news. Immediately inside, I felt joy, like a release. Immediately. Now I say immediately because it doesn't take long for the gut feeling and the brain to kind of connect, and then the brain is telling you, "Are you crazy? Your daughter is about to be in high school. Like you can't do that." And before I left the meeting, I had this internal conflict like, why am I happy? Like, why does that feel like this could be an opportunity? So, those months after that was an indicator because I was so in tune with understanding the spirit, and something is pulling me, something is telling me that this is different. Ordinarily, if it had been 2 years earlier, I would have been open to these are the other jobs that we have lined up for you. Go out, test them. And I would have been so excited, but I knew that deep down inside, that excitement wasn't there. And I owed it to myself to explore it. And that's when I went into and I talked about prayer. I even went to a women's conference with girlfriends from college. And that moment of getting out of that space. And I even tell this with my clients. Sometimes you have to leave the space where all the things are swirling around so that you get a little bit of freedom so you can have a moment of clarity. And when I was sitting at that conference and we were in like nosebleed seats and a big arena here in Atlanta, and which is where I ultimately end up moving, even though I came here for the conference for clarity, didn't know that this was going to be the place that I was going to move to. And the opening talk when the preacher was up there, and it was a women's spiritual conference. His opening line was about the book of Ruth, and in the book of Ruth, if your listeners are familiar with it, Ruth follows Naomi, who is her mother-in-law, to this new land after she loses everything. She loses her husband and everything. The sister, her other sister-in-law, Orpah, stayed. And that pastor said, are you a Ruth that is willing to leave all to go into the new land? Or are you a Orpah and you're going to stay in a dead land? Boom! I knew it. I'm a Ruth. And I knew that this was it. God had answered those prayers. It was time to leave. Now, the bravery and the courage that it takes to leave something that you know is successful, it comes when you're ready to walk out on faith. You're ready. You already know that if I'm being told to do that, provision is going to be there. I just have to trust the process. And when I say trust the process, sometimes it is rough, and it was rough in those beginnings. But I had to trust the fact that if He led me to this place, He's not going to leave me. So yeah, that's how I got there, and that started the momentum. It was time to go.
That's fantastic. So, what do you think led to you being able to have that much trust in the process, trust in
Oh
God, trust in the path? Because I know a lot of our listeners out there, they get to these
yeah,
crossroads moments. They're like these critical moments of time where it's like, do I keep doing the same thing or do I venture off and do something else? Whether it is uh, people leaving a relationship that's a long-term
yeah,
relationship or a job, or they're even if they're entrepreneurs, it's like, oh, do I do this new thing that's nothing like what everyone else has known from me before? Do I like that point where they're like, okay, it's time to make the big decision? And when they don't make it, it kind of comes up over and over and
oh
over again.
yes,
It
yes.
just keeps reappearing and reappearing and reappearing, and it's like, what are you going to do this time? And it's those moments that I think make or break our, and not like, I don't think it make or breaks us. I think it just leads to a higher level of joy. And it's like something we don't know is even possible. But you talk about faith in God and faith in the journey. How did you get to a place where you knew in your, like, knew in your bones, knew in your gut that this, even if it looks scary and hard, is the thing?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I wrote about it. I have a book coming out in in about a month. Actually, by the time this airs, the book will be out in March, and I talk about what I call the value framework, and it starts first with the vision. Is what do you believe? And if you don't know what you believe, it is hard for you to kind of move forward in whatever is being drawn out of you because it first starts with the belief part. So, what have you seen? What is the vision that's in front of you? And if you're clear on that part of the vision piece of it, now the faith has been was built over years, years of following, years of seeing God show up, years of small things, and Him answering those small prayers that led up to me being able to take a leap. Now that part I'll be clear of. I didn't come and just start being a believer, and the next day I'm ready to quit my job and follow God. Like that didn't happen. I'm a scientist, so you know that I had to have some evidence with it. So then, and God was patient with me, and He would show up over and over. But that vision happened years before it got to that point. I just didn't know that's what it meant. Inspire, Develop, Grow is the name of my company. Those three words I had gotten in 2010. I did not leave the company. I did not know what it was for until 2015. So that's 5 years of having a word, writing it in a journal somewhere, and just holding on to it. Seeing myself standing in front of crowds speaking. And I have the opportunity to be able to speak and to share wisdom and speak that into people, not only on a one on one basis, but also as a speaker in front of crowds. I saw myself doing that. Those were visions that had been given that I did not know where to put them, but I just wrote them down in a journal. And then there was another one that I got that was so powerful. I knew that I had gotten promoted, and I was standing there in front of a big what do you call it? Speaker podium. Yeah, podium. I was standing in front of a podium, and my mentor at the time came up to me and said, "Congratulations, you got promoted." And I told her in the dream, "But I love this," and I grabbed that podium. I wrote it down. So, what visions have you been given? Sometimes we're so afraid to put down, and even if you're not a dreamer, you've seen something, you know something, you were having a conversation and boom, something sparked inside of you that was very different than a regular conversation that you've seen. You may have had a relationship with someone and you saw a glimpse of something different. Maybe it's a significant other. Those are the things that we ignore in life, that if we got trained to kind of write them down in that moment, those are seeds. That's your evidence that is building. So he's showing you something. And that's the V part of it. The next part of it is the alignment piece. Over time, I had to move myself into alignment to even make the step. And that alignment happened when I got on a plane and left Ohio, came to Georgia for that conference. I had moved into alignment so I could hear that message clearly, so that I could walk through it. Then the L part of it is leveraging my gifts. Now, I will say I was in my 40s before I made that. So I started to know my gifts a little bit better. I knew that in spaces, what I uniquely brought to those spaces. Even I didn't quite understand it in corporate all the time because I know I was a little too, Andrea's too churchy, too spiritual. But if people needed a prayer, they'd be like, "Can we go to the huddle room? Grab the puffs. I got something I need to tell you about." But that leveraging your gifts, that awareness piece. And then that U part is unshakable identity. The reason why even I'll tell people that I'm a child of God and my faith is because I know that's my identity. It's what I identify with. It is who I am. And that part is unshakable. And then the E is the eternal impact. And when you start to understand all parts of that framework, it then gives you the understanding that if you're being pulled to do something, start a business, I have the vision, I understand my value, I'm aligned, all that. That part of walking into it feels like the easy part. It is staying where you are is the hard part when you know you're being called to do so much more.
Yeah. I told you I used to be in education. I was mostly in elementary education, taught like first, second, and fifth
Oh,
grades.
the
First, second,
baby.
fifth, and sixth. I did a stint of like middle school stuff where it was like more eighth, ninth grade, but like most of my time was in elementary education. And I think about like the way we teach our kids. And, at the time I had this really beautiful privilege of teaching at a private school that was a little bit more God-centered, and you were able to actually speak some of those words. But I'm like, wouldn't it be brilliant if we could have an education for our kids starting like younger, where they get told, yeah, those things you see in your dreams, those things that feel like this, these pulls, these callings, it
Yes.
feels like this, like, and I think it might be difficult to start it that early, but I'm like, you know what, all y'all who
Oh,
are
it's
listening
not.
out there and you have kids at home, I think it is so
Yes.
important to teach them as early as they can to listen to those callings, to listen to what kind of alignment feels like to them. What does that pull feel like to them? What are those dreams look like to them. But like even still, it's so important also this work you're doing for women even as we get older. I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in like 3 or 4 months.
Oh, you're a baby. Welcome
Wow.
to the other side of 50 is beautiful.
I'm excited. I don't know, this is like the best time of
Yes,
my life, so
yes. Well,
it's
you really
wild.
know yourself by that part.
That's exactly, I'm like, nobody told me it was going to be awesome. They
Yes,
should tell you that, but like
yes,
it is awesome when, like you just said, you know yourself, you're grounded in yourself, when you've kind of done some of these bigger leaps, when you're following those pulls in your heart. And for those people who are starting to feel that and shift that, to be able to hear somebody like you, whether from stage or on a personal call, to be able to go, yeah, this is what those
yeah,
things, let's help you interpret those. Let's feel what it feels like for you. Let's see what those callings look like for you, because they are so individual for each
yes,
of us, like our
yes.
own little paths. I'm sure, like when you were getting your PhD and you were studying science, you had no idea that it was going to land here.
No idea. Are you kidding me? It was not on my plan.
It was not on your bucket list for
No,
how that year
never.
was going to go, right?
Corporate ladder. I was going to climb that corporate ladder.
Yeah, yeah. Can
Yes.
you tell me a little bit more about how that science background really helps you with the work you do now? Because I would love to hear more about how that
Yeah.
science brings it. Because, I know I was teaching elementary school, but I love a good science background. I was like a math major in college,
Yes.
so I
Oh,
love a
I love
science
it. You're a
background.
STEM girl. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm a chemist by training, and I think the approach of learning as you're growing into the PhD, where you're asking these powerful questions, you're learning how to do research, you're learning how to make strong observations and make conclusions, fact-based conclusions based on all those observations. I think that kind of training helps me when I'm working with whether individuals or with corporations. I
Mm,
think it's the unique thing that I bring in, if as opposed to if I were trained to just, let's just say, just go straight into leadership, for example,
yeah.
for us. So I think that part in itself helps. And every now and then I get a little giggle when I'm coaching someone because I still think like a scientist. I still think about equations. If you do this plus this, it yields this. And if you don't, then you might have a byproduct of this. So I do think that part of me is still there. And I bring it into those spaces to help explain and illustrate. Even when I think about molecules coming together, helping someone understand energy and
Mm,
the energy that they have inside and the energy that they produce when they walk into a room or to a space. And I'm trying to coach them on how to project their energy differently. So it's not a direct thing. I wish it could be like, oh yeah, I'm stirring this up over here in the corner and I'm making this kind of product, because that part was so much more easier than working with people. People are so much more dynamic and complex than me putting these molecules into this beaker and stirring it up. But I do think the training part of it, the deep curiosity that I have, that is a part of me that led me into science, is still there. And I get to dabble on it by working with organizations that are actually doing the science. So I tell them, give me the science part too. I want to hear about your organizational issues, but tell me what it is that you guys do when you make that particular thing. So I get to geek out that kind of way too.
mm. That is way too fun to be able to do that on that level. Then you can kind of be like the outside person. You just get to go,
Yes.
oh, that's so exciting. I know. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I
cool.
don't have
All
to
right.
do any of the
I
work.
know. That is way too fun to be able to do stuff like that. So for people who are getting into having that pull, that's like, maybe I should go into coaching, maybe if that's the calling for me, do you have any like recommendations? What are the things that you learned in your first few bumpy years that you wish you would have
Ooh,
known?
building a business out of it. So I think I am the kind of person. Once I got a clear vision, God gave it to me. I was all in, all in. God said it. It is so. I'm going in. But the part that I had to learn, that was the painful part, is how do you take all of this passion and support yourself? You build a business out of it. I was used to going to work. We're talking about you go to work on Monday, you finish on Friday, that's your work week. Well, when you're in business for yourself, there is no beginning and end. It just kind of mushes all together and you my work life balance was off. My I was working all the time. I was doing things that did not necessarily lead to profitability. I didn't have a clear vision on pricing and those small things. They seem like small things, but they matter when it comes to the sustainability. And I still think that I'm a work in progress with this. Like the skill level of being able to coach someone through, yes, that grew much faster because that's where the gifting is than it did for the business side of it. I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I got to go in QuickBooks again. Oh, I send that invoice out already? Like those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, any advice I'd tell them to spend just as much time on perfecting your craft as you do in building the business, building automation, and those kind of things that if you're a person that I just want to go talk to the people, I just want to go help somebody. You don't want to sit in the corner and trying to figure out looking at spreadsheets and all this other stuff that's important for your business. So that's my
Yeah, for
biggest thing.
sure.
Yeah. Become a
I love
CEO.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the business piece for sure. And I think I solopreneured way too long. I'm like I definitely look back and I'm like, I wish somebody told me how to hire smart. The hire smart that I think is really good in your first couple of years. You don't have to hire somebody like VA full time if you're looking at it and going, I don't know if I have enough projects for them.
Hmm.
Hire some good project based people and go like, help me get through this project and hire that and get through this project and hire
Yes.
that. And then over time you can bridge those suckers together, because being a solopreneur for way too long, I think that's another mistake people make when they get
Yeah.
into
Burnout. It's
into the business,
burnout.
because it's like you're doing all the things, man, and trying to learn like the craft of, coaching somebody, which people like I who go into the field, I think they have a natural gift, they have that calling, they have that
Yes.
thing. But there's still things to learn within how to navigate doing that in really difficult circumstances. So you're learning that and then learning business at the same time. And there it's a lot. You work a lot of hours and there's nobody telling
Yes.
you, it's 6 a.m. You should get up and do the thing. Like there has to be a little level of self
Yes.
motivation there, which is good too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think being your own brand was another challenging one. I remember going to my first networking event where I was not representing the company, like Procter Gamble. I could go into a room as a section head, which is the director, and just say where I worked. And automatically you could see people's response to you. You see what the PhD, I could say I'm a PhD polymer chemist. I could see the response that people would have. Now I'm representing Andrea. And Dr. Andrea is kind of what I call myself in the business. But who is she? And what does she bring? That first networking meeting I walked into, I saw the people and I walked straight to the bathroom. I had to look myself in the mirror and talk myself, coach myself up because at that point I didn't realize that, oh my gosh, I don't even know my messaging. I don't know what I bring. I just showed up here and being able to talk and navigate the crowd and be able to look for clients. That's something I never had to do before. So even when
Yeah.
it comes down to those kind of skills that you have to build, putting yourself in environments that force you to get on that learning curve and learn quickly, I think is another piece of advice I'd give to people on the cusp of trying to figure out how do I do this?
Oh yeah, that's getting out and networking is a big, big one, because you do realize really quickly what you do know about yourself and your messaging, and are you clear or not? And
Yes.
your first couple times might be a little messy, and that's okay, because like you said, you're on the learning curve, you're figuring it out, and it's like
Hmm.
the how you make it through is you go through. Like that is
Yes.
the process.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
how we do
Absolutely.
it. All right, Dr. Andrea, are you ready for a lightning round?
Yes, I am. Come on, hit me with it.
Uh, One word your best friend would use to describe you.
Listener.
Mm, I love that. Okay. Last time you danced like nobody was watching.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Do you have a go-to power color? You want to feel powerful, you're going to wear?
Blue.
Blue.
I don't have it on today, but yes, blue.
That's okay. You got some beautiful colors on today. Those are colors I would wear. Like,
I see your
if you guys are
background.
just listening, there's like purple and like a coral. Y'all know those are like my colors.
Yes.
Okay. A belief you've outgrown that you never want to go back to.
It's up to me to make it happen. I
Mm,
now understand it's a group. Yeah. Leverage the team you have.
leverage the team. What is something ridiculous that you secretly love?
Ridiculous. Hmm. Ooh, this is making me think. Um, I secretly love. The first thing that came to my mind is dark chocolate. Because I don't know if it's ridiculous. I love dark chocolate.
Hey, that if it's the first thing that comes in, then that's the thing. Then that's
Yes,
the thing. We don't have to overthink it. Okay.
yes, yeah.
Favorite place you've ever been and why?
Ooh, I really loved Rome. Yeah, Rome, Italy was kind of my favorite vacation. And why is because I love the mix between I could walk and eat gelato, and then I could see historical things that were back in ancient times in the same place. Good food and culture pieces of it.
What do you think makes somebody magnetic? Like you're around somebody and you're like, wow, they're just like they have
Oh,
that magnetic quality. What do you think makes them that way?
authenticity. They are walking, speaking in their authentic self, and you can see that. No mask, no filter, authenticity.
Authenticity. If you had one more message for our audience, they take away one thing from our interview today, you want them to know what?
You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself so much that you want the best for you. That you are putting yourself, your gifting, your purpose, you're putting that first. Even down to your health. People always think if I put myself first, it's about putting my health first, but it's also putting your purpose first over others. That's what I lead them
I love that. I love that. That's what we're about here at Ridiculously You. It is loving even the ridiculous parts of yourself, whether, that be pieces of your physical body that have been, hard to accept or understand in the past, or your mind, or your heart, or your passions, or whatever it is.
with.
It's
Yes,
loving every single piece that makes you
absolutely.
amazingly you. I love that. Dr. Andrea, where can people find more about you? Do you have any like cool speaking gigs coming up we can check out? Where's your
Yes.
socials? Where can we find more of
Yes.
you?
Yes, of course you can check me out on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm Dr. Andrea IDG underscore IDG on Facebook and Instagram on and just use my name on LinkedIn. But I'd love for them to join me on the second Tuesday. Second Tuesday of the month, I do a free webinar at 7 p.m. and all these different topics related to them. My next one is called Getting into Alignment. So some of the things I talked about with you today, I'm going to be talking about on February the 10th at 7 p.m. And they can go and find out more information on my social media platforms.
Awesome. So they can go register, figure out how to do
Mhm.
the webinar. Then you told me it was second Tuesday. Is that what it was? Second
Yep,
Tuesday,
second Tuesday.
February 10th.
Yep,
Is that what we said? Okay,
yep,
cool.
yes. Every second Tuesday of the month.
Every second
Yes,
Tuesday, she
yes,
does a free webinar. How freaking cool is that? We
yes,
love
yes.
that. Find out more about alignment, learn lots of really cool new things from Dr. Andrea. I love your message. I love your
Yes.
bright self. Like
Thank
when I
you.
asked you that magnetic question, that wasn't on my list. It was like, oh, you have one of those magnetic personalities that just
Oh,
feels happy
you
and
do
joyful and
too.
like you
Thank
want to be
you.
around it. So I'm like, I added that one in because I always like to hear from the person that I feel has that magnetic quality to them,
Well,
what that
it's
means to them.
certainly been a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of my story today.
Oh, thank you so much. And for those of you guys listening, I know you guys super enjoyed hearing Dr. Andrea and her story of, leaving the big corporate gig, going out and finding her passion. For all of the you guys that want to follow your passion, make sure you like, share, subscribe, share this with a friend that you're like, you've been talking about that thing you want to do for years, and it's time to do it. This is your sign to share that with them.
Yes.
Do it now. Go do
Yes.
the big thing. We're giving this like
Yes.
your official permission slip to go do the big thing.
Absolutely. And then come with me. Free webinar, second Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they
On
can
Zoom.
find out more about that on your socials. So
Yes.
LinkedIn, Facebook, you're going to find her there. Make sure you go follow her, because you are going to have that kind of like magnetic-y fun thing with Dr. Andrea too. And with that, this has been Julie May reminding you to love even the ridiculous parts of yourself, and to, share this with a friend so that they remember all of us. You're worth
yes.
loving. You're worth loving. You're worth spending the time and care and energy on, and you are important. And thank you so much for sharing this time with us today. Bye-bye, guys.
Share the spark, take it higher. Hit subscribe, bring a friend. Let the wildness never end.